This is Steve Zeltzer with Workweek and Pacifica, and I'm with
Inez.
Inez. Why don't you talk about your life here in San Francisco?
So I'm a born and raised native of Hunters Point. I've been in San Francisco for 55 years, and my experience here in San Francisco has been very challenging and very disheartening. I'm a survivor of the war on drugs, Hunters Point, and and being here in San Francisco, growing up here is starting to sort of make me help me believe that I'm like living in a racist environment that that is intentionally here in San Francisco, and it's even more disheartening because you in 2020, I believe this, I don't know if it was Gavin Newsom or the city, somebody sent out apology letter to African Americans. It's like we have extreme apology letters on the behalf of what San Francisco have done to African Americans in this city, and yet it's still happening. So it's like nothing's really changing. So I think it's just, if this is like the most criticalest time ever in my history, and I feel like now is like the time to use my voice, because in Hunters Point we're often used as we're often just used, even if it's for workforce economic development, or is environmental justice, or if it's toxic environment, the climate. I believe, since I've been living in San Francisco, I don't believe nothing the city does is to benefit or support or acknowledge African Americans.
And thousands, tens of thousands of people came to San Francisco during the war and worked in the shipyards around the Bay Area, and also worked at Hunters Point. And for those who don't know, Hunters Point was a military naval shipyard that brought in contaminated ships from the Pacific, the Marshall Islands. They were sandblasted there to see if they could be reused in another nuclear war. So they were, and the workers there, many of the workers there who were brought in were black workers. And they also had experiments of animals at the shipyard. They tested animals, the effect of radiation to animals. And many of the workers at Hunters Point became contaminated and had cancers and asthma. The rate of asthma is very high in Hunters Point, Bayview. So there's been a long, long history for the people in Hunters Point and Bayview being affected by the chemicals and toxins used in the shipyard.
I'm one of them. I can remember when I was a kid, like between 3 and 4 years old, because we lived right in the heart of Hunters Point. And my mom used to always let me go out in the backyard and play in the backyard, as you know. And over time, I can remember, as far as being 4 years old, being rushed to the hospital a lot because I had a lot of nosebleeds, and I was having a lot of headaches and stuff living in the Bayview. And it had got really bad to where I had got like this real bad fever that they couldn't tell my mom why I was having this extreme fever. And then I lost the lining inside of my nose, so I don't breathe normally like everybody else, and I have my nostril lining is very, very thin. And so I am a part of the Bonner and Bonner lawsuit for Hunters Point. I am involved in the Hunters Point lawsuit. So I do believe that something is there. I have friends that's younger than me died from breast cancer. They all lived right in West Point, which is now considered Hunter's View. They lived next to the PG&E plant before they blew it up. And then that was a hazard too, because they just blew it up and they didn't ask us to move or don't be here this day, go somewhere else. I mean, so.
No oversight protection for
Right.
the residents.
So technically, I believe something's there. Like my sister died of cancer, brain cancer, brain tumor. My brother suffered with prostate cancer growing up next to the shipyard, and I have two brothers that had suffered with prostate cancer, but one went holistic and then one went the medical way, which, bless his heart, he was a San Francisco firefighter and retired right before the pandemic, so his cancer came back, and then we wound up losing him. But I have cousins that still live in Hunter's View that has been exposed to things, and they not doing well, So when I hear people say the life expectancy is not really high for the Bayview, sometimes I did, when I would read that in books in school, I wouldn't understand what it meant. But now I am a living witness that San Francisco black community doesn't live as long as other cultures in San Francisco.
And over $1 billion was spent by the U.S. government to clean up, and the Tetra Tech and this company were hired to supposedly clean up, but apparently there's still toxins, radioactive material in Hunters Point.
I agree because being a member of the Hunters Point lawsuit and the last debriefing we had with Bonner and Bonner, we are aware that because there are so many people suing the shipyard, it's taking the process longer for the residents like us just suing the tech companies. I mean the tech companies and everything, and so it's just not fair to just like, okay, Hunters Point is toxic. It's been toxic because it's next to the Navy shipyard. But what's not fair is to like not tell the truth about it. I mean, it's like, okay, we gonna live here. We know this is going on here. We don't have a choice, or we can move. But when you steady saying nothing's wrong there, or that's not true, I think that's where we're suffering, because we don't really know the truth, because nobody never tells us the truth in the Hunters Point. And so what happens is we know we're not living comfortably. We know a lot of people have breathing problems. A lot of people can't open their windows at night. A lot of people don't like to open their windows sometimes, but then we feel like it's a beautiful place to be, but then why is there so much toxic in the air on us? So it's really devastating, but something is going on there. I can even contest to the heat, the climate. At one point, growing up here in San Francisco, Hunters Point would get extremely hot, really, really hot. And when it was really hot like that, that kept a lot of people outside in the streets, and so that's what also kept a lot of violence. So when you read about urban fabric and the climax and everything that going on with global warming, you're starting to wonder, it's like, is we safe? Because everything is coming from us from every different ways, from the sun to taking away the trees to making it more cooler for us so we can breathe and have fresh air. So it's really disheartening, but I think we live at a time now where people need to really know the truth about San Francisco, like hearing from generations, even though we have ancestors and people that have told stories, but I'm like a survivor of the war on drugs, and it's time for us to now tell stories, of how our generation has been treated out in San Francisco.
And there even was an underground fire that went on for over a month in Hunters Point.
That's still
Over 3 months, there was an underground. They buried the contaminants, the radioactive material, the dead animals in underground, and there was a fire that went on there for some time.
burning.
Still burning. So,
Today?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, the toxins, they buried them, and then they got in fire. the chemical reactions, and they caused fires that went on for some time. They couldn't put off the fires. But so did the Department of Public Health or do any surveys? Did they come into the neighborhood and take records of the kind of health problems that people in the community had to get statistics and to find out if people were suffering from the toxins in the community?
Not of my knowledge, no.
So you've never seen the Department of Public Health or the Navy or OSHA or any federal agency try to find out who's being affected in Hunters Point, Bayview, what kind of illnesses do they have, and to get a record of how people are being affected?
No, not those entities, but Bonner and Bonner has made us go through that process. We had to pull medical records, and we have to take surveys and, those things, but not the Navy shipyard, not the San Francisco Public Department of Health, no.
So this is over decades. Over decades, you're saying people were having these serious illnesses, cancers, other toxins. There was never a survey, to your knowledge, by the City and County of San Francisco Department of Public Health to find out what's going on, to survey the residents.
No, not to my knowledge. And just to be clear, my mother was a resident of Hunters Point, and to her demise, my mother lived to be 82 years old, and she lived right in the heart of Hunters Point. So there has never been no survey asking us those questions, and
Maybe they don't want to know.
they don't want to know. I don't think they want to know. The most they done in the public housing was slapped up these signs in between our doors to say this place might be toxic and, have it in harm and all that, and that's about it. Nothing else.
So they did put up warning signs,
Yeah,
but they didn't say what to do about it.
Right. They put up warning signs, but I think that was about
Well,
it.
that $1 billion that was spent on the cleanup, that could have been used for housing for the community at near Candlestick or some other place other than Hunters Point, Bayview. But it was spent to remediate, and they wanted to build condos on Naval Shipyard, the condos.
Well, they have.
Yeah. Well,
Right, yeah, yes, they have. And one of the things I want to report out, because when we talk about life expectancy in Hunters Point, so being that we're already now in the Hunters Point lawsuit with the shipyard, we have just, because I ask a lot of questions when I speak to some of the people from the law firm, we have already lost like 500 people that was in the lawsuit. And so there's a lot of people still dying and not even going to be a part of the lawsuit. I think she said they count as 500 people that this has been dismised since we started the Hunters Point lawsuit, which is just heartening because I was like, wow, living in the community, and this is sometimes why I realize I don't see people that I used to grow up with. Like, people are dying and we're not even acknowledging some of the things that they're dying from, and it could be being exposed to the chemicals in the community that's causing a lot of the health, the asthma, and the cancer ratio in the Bayview.
And one of the issues is unemployment, and the unemployment in the black community in San Francisco is much higher than in the rest of San Francisco, and that is a very bad effect in the community with families. And talk about that situation.
One of the reasons I can say a lot of people in San Francisco is unemployed is I don't really believe. I want to have a nice choice of words when I say this. Some of it is racism and some of it is not racism. Some of it is just people is sick of working in San Francisco because of the way they are treated. So people are door dashing or Ubering or finding other ways to survive or starting their own business or starting after school, doing things to try to survive here. But the unemployment rate for African Americans is extremely because a lot of African Americans in San Francisco wasn't really taught fairly like they should have been. So there is a gap that lacks in unemployment, but I don't think that goes the same for like younger generations. Like they are able to work in San Francisco, but a lot of their problem is, and a lot of reason why a lot of them don't want to work here in San Francisco, because they feel like they instantly get discriminated against, or they first to hire, last to hire, first to fire. So it's discouraging to work here, and
Actually, in San Francisco, in the 1930s, the blacks were excluded from working as longshore workers because of racial discrimination. And the only time that they were hired was when there was a strike. Then they would be hiring black workers to replace the white workers who were on strike. And what happened was Harry Bridges and the leadership of the ILWU went to the black community and said, if you support the strike, we will make sure you're part of the ILWU. As a result of that, they did support the strike, and the majority of longshoremen in San Francisco, Local 10, are black workers now. And I also know at the St. Francis Hotel, when there's strikes, they bring in black young people to use them as scabs, and then after the strike, they fire them, but they won't hire black workers.
right.
So from the community, the black community, the St. Francis Hotel and the rest of the big hotels don't want to hire black workers.
And that's true. And that's one of the reasons why we're here today, because we are always promised jobs. It's like it's like that's the only strategy that the government can give us, because they know we want to work. They know we want to take care of our families. So when they come into urban communities like the Bayview, where they have promised to interact with community before bringing anything into community, like for instance, things go through the board of supervisors and things like that. So what happens is it goes through the city supervisors, and then the backdoor deals are made, and then community is just left to suffer with whatever the backdoor deal was. But the meetings and the long haul and all that is done with community. So they come in community, tell us jobs, do the backdoor deals with the city, and then we're left without the jobs. And so I argue with them. It's like some of us is getting too old to work now. How about ownership and letting us own some of the things that y'all needing our permission to bring into our community, and quote unquote, the SF Gateway project, that
What is
that
the
should
SF
happen.
Gateway project?
So the SF Gateway project is a project that I have been meeting with over a year with developers called Prologis, and I believe Prologis is an organization that's really East Coast driven, but they have headquarters here in San Francisco, and they are developers. They come in and they develop up for like corporate companies like Amazon and UPS and those sorts of things. So they're coming in to try to take over are looking to take over a development site in the Bayview. Hunters Point is kind of sort of under the freeway, kind of industrial area, and bring in a project for like 100 years that they're looking to be in community and house these vehicles for Amazon, UPS, FedEx, and taking up space that community not even really aware of that they're coming in to do so. And I am on the advisory committee for the SF Gateway project, and I have been.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Look, I'm doing the interview.
That's fine.
No,
We need
well,
to
then
know-
no, you don't, I'll do the interview. Carol,
That's not our agreement.
yeah, Carol, are we gonna do?
You're
I don't want-
creating a problem.
No, I said, let me do
You
the.
jumped to a conclusion.
Look, it's not, I'm interviewing her. No, my
regarding
interview.
this.
No, I'm doing the interview, Carol.
Stop. Steve,
No.
you do this all the time. You were brought in through an organization. Can you tell us the name of that organization?
Well, I was going to get to that, Carol. So Carol, just, you know,
Stop, Steve, you
I
cannot
was,
be in
I
there.
was not, okay, so I was not brought in through an organization. An organization invited me to the meeting. And once I attended the meeting with the developers, Prologis, and they introduced us to SF Gateway, then I decided to sit in the table because I wanted to know what's going on. So the organization didn't appoint me in.
and who was the organization?
So the organization is APRI, which is a known organization in the Bayview that helps with job development. They oversee, they work close in hand with Park and Rec. So they're working on the Indian Bases project. They work on jobs, making sure young people are getting work. So they work development. They do all of things. They help you clean your record. They help families with things like Christmas, everything. It's APRI, and
And who is APRI?
it's the
A. Philip Randolph Institute?
institution, right?
And who is the head of that?
I think his name is, the director is Mr.
Brian?
Grimes, I believe. Yeah, like the executive director.
So they contacted you.
Yeah, they invited me to the meeting. So basically, it went like this: Hey, are you? We're looking for community members, and we want to know if you would like to attend this meeting because they are looking for community members, and we know you are one of the people that be in the community and doing some of the work around civil engagement. And then I went to the meeting, and so I was interested in learning, and then I agreed to sit in the meeting. And
What happened at that meeting?
so they will meet with us, which is supposed to be an advisory board, and they will come in and meet with us, and we will be sitting down negotiating their blueprint for coming into the Bayview. And a lot of it was, oh, we're going to give jobs, and it's like we're going to give, we want to bring in community because this project is going to bring in jobs, and it's going to bring in community space, and just the same old rhetoric that they used to tell my mother and them back in the 40s.
It's going to help the people.
Yeah, it's going to help the people. Yeah, right. So I'm like, okay, so I want to know about this so I can be the voice. And then, of course, they throw in child care. They throw in all these things that make you want to agree. But what they do, or what they have done, is that it's sort of like they're pinning groups of people against each other. Because if I'm on the advisory board, I should know that you're meeting with another organization and what that organization is talking about, because now you're pitting us community against each other. So I didn't know that there's a group going against the project, and it's called All Things Bayview, I believe that's the name of it. And I just happened to be down at City Hall on some another hype, and I see over 50 people protesting Prologis, and they got this sign, and I'm like, is this the same people that I'm meeting with? And why we don't know that half of my community is not with this project? And so I'm looking at everybody, and I'm looking a little dumbfounded, because I'm like, these are my community members, and they against something that I'm sitting on. I sit on this advisory committee, so now I feel like I'm being pinned against the people that I have to look at every day. So I've been a little pissed off with Prologis, and they tend to keep meeting with different groups of people, because that's how you play us against each other. So therefore, we're going to all be in San Francisco City Hall on September the 25th with no community agreement or agenda. And so I call Prologis like, so y'all really gonna have us go downtown and look like we all incompetent and don't know what's going on? And they like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, nobody's agreeing with this project, and nobody even knows about the project. And so I took a survey on September the the 18th, 17th, with the San Francisco Public Defender's Office, and I took it was over 37 people there, And and so was the chief of the public defender's office was in present of this meeting, and I asked from a show of hands how many people in here know about the SF Gateway project, and no hands went up. That's terrible, because now the chief of the public defender's office don't even know this is about. You had college track in there, which is right there on Third. The college track. You had all these different organizations in there, but 37 people, nobody heard about the Prologis project. So that's a problem to me.
And this advisory board, was this an official city agency or committee? Or who funded it, and did you get benefits from being on it?
Prologis funded it. We were meeting with Prologis, and yes, they gave us stipends to meet with them, and they would give us these, they would have meals. They did like 1 or 2 field trips, like to the Wiz or something that I didn't get to attend, but yeah, they provided stipends, and I believe it came from Prologis.
And did Prologis ever talk about the environmental effect of this project and what it would mean bringing in large numbers of trucks, maybe hundreds or thousands of Amazon vehicles?
Yeah, they had the conversations, but they made their conversations clean. They cleaned up they cleaned up what was concerned of residents and organizations was the toxics. So they convincing us that everything is going to be electric. There's going to be electric vehicles. It's not going to be a reason to have pollution or to be afraid, because everything is going to be electric, which I'm not saying we are living in some times where things were electric, but I think more so the Bayview community is just, they talking about, what about the traffic? People got to get their babies to school. People got to get to work. And y'all talking about bringing in such a industrial movement like this. What about traffic? What about people trying to, because where they're going to be at, it's like right by a freeway. But in my conversation with some of them just reached like a week ago, they said that the trucks is only going to be confined to a certain area. Like they will not be going through community, and they not, it's like basically it's just going to be like getting on and off the freeway, bringing things. But like Amazon and UPS, those are big trucks, and that's a lot. To be wearing or tearing down a highway that's not really sustainable, good. And it's like, if y'all want this to happen, y'all need to repair the highways in the area before y'all talking about bringing something in for another 100 years, and everything already worn out from the 100 of years we already been here.
So they haven't actually repaired all the highways and property in Hunters Point, Bayview.
And then the area, and so they promise to do community benefits. That community benefits, that community benefits is starting to really annoy me too, because that's just a catch to community benefit. That's just the community benefits is what they say. But like I told them, the post office came in talking about community benefits, and you don't even see half of the people working there. The Chase Center came in talking about community benefits, and now that's not even District 10 anymore. That's down there with Mac Haney. What's that district? The New Mission Rock. They divided it. So it's like Candlestick was supposed to be community benefits, and y'all done took that away, and now people are just, what I'm saying? So I don't get the community benefits. Like it's just a way to hoodwink us, because people in the past and black people in San Francisco wants to survive, so they come with the jobs because they think that's what we want to hear. But what's happening now in this era is that a lot of the brothers in Hunters Point that was once left behind, that was once a part of the pipeline to prison, where San Francisco just left us out here uneducated. They bosses. They got their own trucking companies and they got their own plumbing companies. Because just because you took away a man's knowledge, that don't mean you took away their physical and their hands. And and black African Americans is not stupid, but you would think we are dumb here and we're incompetent the way San Francisco treats us. So what's happening now with Prologis is that they're dealing with some brothers that's not having it. Like, we don't want no jobs. We want the contract work. We will employ our own community. Like, so now what's happening is San Francisco City Hall is getting all these contractors from other places, and they're not looking to hire the brothers that can do the same work. So this is where Prologis is, quote unquote, promising that the contract work, the plumbing work, all the work can go, because you got a black plumbing company in the Bayview, you got the brothers that have a big rig company and stuff, you have brothers that have moving companies that can move families and stuff. So we just tired of fighting for jobs. It's like, I'm 55 years old, and I don't know if you heard of this organization called ABU, which was ran by James Richardson. If we don't work, they don't work, when he used to shut down a lot of the work. Well, he's a relative, and he's like over 80 now, and he's still working. God bless him. He's still working and doing the work, and he's still shutting stuff down. And I'm 55 now, mind you. He's been doing this since I was been like 4 or 5 years old, when he first started ABU. So it's just really sad that San Francisco African Americans have to fight for work.
And it sounds, would you consider this a racist scam? Because they're telling the black community, we're going to provide jobs, but you're finding out that, in fact, the jobs that they're talking about, a lot of them aren't going to go to the people in the black community who need jobs.
Yes, it's not only is this racism, but it's a way to pin us against other cultures. Because when you look in San Francisco, when you look in community, they're up there fighting right now in like places like Sherview and Jackie Robinson and related, where these people from the East Coast then came in and took over private developments in the Bayview. That's one of the problems now. You have a young lady just was telling me in one project in the Hunters Point right now, it's over 75 Latinos and only like 14 black men that's up there working, and that's not fair, And so we're still being pinned against other cultures, and I think that's a San Francisco just alternative motive to keep everybody divided.
And the housing situation, they say they're going to refurbish the housing in Hunters Point, but a lot of people have been pushed out and they haven't been able to get back in these homes. There is a problem of basically gentrification, people coming in and driving the people in the community who want to stay in San Francisco out. Do you feel that that's part of what's happening in San Francisco, that the plan is that developers want to have high-priced condos or, housing that is...
Yeah, that's been a problem in California, all over California.
All over the United States.
Yeah, pretty much. So I just can't say it's intentionally Hunters Point, but what I can say is that, so when I moved back to San Francisco in 2011, I was told that things were going to change here. And I was brought into a meeting with former Chief Jeff Kadachi, brought me into a meeting. He invited me to a meeting with housing developers, lawyers, and just all different city entities. And they was talking about the change in the housing in San Francisco, how things were going to change from public to private. And so one of my questions was, I just asked, like, what do that mean? Like, what do that mean? So basically, he made it real plain. He said, well, basically, San Francisco is going to go to a place where you're not going to be able to live here on general assistance and paying $50 a month, because with private, they might want to charge you $5,000 a month for that same unit that you was paying $50,000 for. And I was like, oh, so that's the difference, in private and public. Public was the helping us, helping. But a private want to come in and make everything market rate. I mean, that's just the way the world is going. It's all about money. It's not about the people. So it's just that people in San Francisco, like the Big Five, I thank them for their service, and I appreciate everything they did to get us this far. But I just wish somebody would have taught us how to hold on to what's supposed to been due us, instead of it's being taken away from us. It should have been some type of lesson to teach each generation, or some type of resolution. Even though San Francisco has made Hunters Point the African American Culture District of the city, I mean,
But does that stop the displacement
right.
of black
So I don't
community?
even know what that really means, because, when you look around, you don't see a lot of, I'm not going to say you don't see a lot of us, but when you look around on Hunters Point Hill now, when you could see Chinese people, the Asian community, and the Latina community living where they would never step foot at, is like a slap in the face. It's really like a slap in the face. And it's like the city intentionally destroyed us on that hill so that they can bring in who they wanted to, and that they can raise them rent, because majority of the people that's going to come in is more working families, and majority of the people there now is low income, probably lack of education, or probably disabled, or probably elder. So that's the population there now, and that's the population that they're looking to weed out.
And what does Mayor Lurie, Daniel Lurie, have to do with all of this, to your knowledge?
Well, I just think he just wanted he has everything to do with it now, because he's the mayor. So, I mean, if he didn't want to have nothing to do with it, he have to deal with it now, because he's the mayor. So he had to learn as a billionaire on what this city been doing to people that's not billionaires, is what he gonna learn.
And his planning commission has a plan called family zoning.
I've been reading about that. I haven't been able to dive into it. And I don't even know who's that for. I mean, because, he's been putting a lot of things together, a lot of committees together and things, and I don't see him reaching out to the African American community, So when I heard about his family planning, just like, quote unquote, the San Francisco Park Alliance, I just met with a group of people that Daniel Lurie put together to save the San Francisco Park Alliance, who just stole all the money from the community and did all the stuff that they did. He didn't now trying to save them. But if anybody knew the history about Park and Rec was going to lose all their money when Obama was in office. And that's why they had to create San Francisco Park Alliance, because Obama said they wasn't getting another dime, because Park and Rec has been mismanaging money for centuries. And nobody says anything about it. What this city do, like Lurie just did, is find a group of his friends. Because, once Park Alliance got shut down and stole all that money, organizations was in crisis. So, from my understanding, Lurie formed these European people of his, friends of his, and they didn't raise like these millions of dollars, because I was just in the meeting and on Zoom the other day, and they raised these millions of dollars, and now they're going to give back the money to the nonprofits that the San Francisco Park Alliance, messed over or didn't support.
And, the head of the Parks and Recreation, Phil Ginsburg, knew about this.
I'm glad.
It sounds.
So why is he still in position? But you know what? I'll blame that on London, because Mayor London Breed, because she should have replaced him then. He been there too long. what is he doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like he's just doing whatever he want to do. I'm not. He's leaving out Bayview. He's leaving out Bayview
How has he left out Bayview?
because Bayview. He know Bayview has a crisis with literacy. He know they have after school programs that could be doing better with the youth. You know, making sure youth are really learning and helping them. Park and Rec tends to not interact with the Bayview as much as they should. I don't appreciate Phil Ginsburg because he never been to Jolie Gym. Is on our probably like our 15th anniversary for Black History, and he has yet to come to one of our Black History celebrations, and I feel like that's disrespectful, you know. And then he
He wanted to build a new park in the west side.
He started a soccer team off the back of the children in the Hunters Point, the black children at that, when soccer been around for 100 years. But because the field at Youngblood Coleman is always used by the Latinas, and he wants to bring this Lurie soccer field is coming out into the Golden Gate Park, his friend. So now I understand their strategy. Phil wanted to introduce soccer into the black community because they knew that we was going to feel some type of way about what Lurie and them is doing. So nothing is by coincidence. Everything is a plan, you know, and that's why sometimes I don't feel as sorry as I could feel for Mayor Londonderry, because she should have moved him. That should have been the first person she replaced. She didn't replace him. She left him there. Phil Ginsburg's been in Park and Rec for a very long time, at least over 10 years, because I've been living back here now for at least 10, 15 years, and I don't think that's fair because why nobody else can't get the job and get a try, and then it's like, what do he really do?
So you're saying that the Recreation Parks Department have not really concerned themselves with Hunters Point Bayview?
No. Only thing he concerned himself with, not our youth, but with the Indian bases, the shoreline, all those. Oh, you'll see him out there at that. You know, he have yet to even do what he can be doing to help Hunters Point and the young people out there. It's always a political stunt with him, and that's why I don't care too much for him, because everything is always political. Like, for instance, like when we became friends of Youngblood Coleman during the era of Jeff Kadachi, when we started a park initiative, that was a political stunt. You know, everything with Phil Ginsburg seemed to be a little political to me. It's like he never step out the box and just say, hey, let's make sure these kids is getting it. Park and Rec, the lunches that they do you know Park and Rec wastes more food? Then them kids will never eat the food that they bring in there. The food is old, it's nasty, it's bad. I throw more food away working when I worked for Park and Rec, because I used to work for Park and Rec for like 5 years. They ought to be ashamed of themselves for allowing somebody to even bring those type of food, that type of stuff in. No children eats the lunches during the summer camp. We waste more of the food. I used to go out and give it to community or give it to homeless people, but I don't work there anymore, so I don't really take on that task anymore. But at any given day, if there were 30 children there, you would probably get one kid to eat one meal, so the other meals are going to
The food was old? What was the problem?
It's just not a good vendor, and they know that, and they don't care. It's just, long as we're bringing something, we don't care if it's good or not. I mean, you know, I've been to jail before. It's worse than jail food.
Wow.
You know, I've been to 850 before, and I eat the food. I would eat that food for 850 before I eat that. I mean, I'm just saying.
And so Phil Ginsburg, has he been informed of this?
I mean, he will be after this interview. I mean, I feel, you know, it's just time for us to start speaking out and saying things. He will after this interview. If he's in tune to your movement, if he's in tune to your channel, he will learn. But he's going to learn soon, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to combat San Francisco racism. You have an organization that want to grow San Francisco, and I want to start combating San Francisco racism. So I have been putting a system together for at least 6 months now. I have introduced it to Mayor Lurie in a town hall. We're going to combat San Francisco racism, and it's not that white people are being racism. It's just racism and bullying is being done by everybody. Black folks is bullying black folks in nonprofits, and so
What is the role of these nonprofits? I mean, this advisory board, was that a nonprofit, or was it simply?
No, the role of the nonprofits to me is to keep them with money in their pocket and to keep us at the bottom of the barrel. That's what because I'm to the point now, I don't even think I want a nonprofit because I'm just so embarrassed by the actions of the nonprofit. You know, I have a joke that I say here in San Francisco that there are nonprofits that take care of dogs better than the nonprofits in San Francisco take care of the black people, and I mean that, exactly what I'm saying. And that go for Park and Rec, that go for the San Francisco Unified School District, that go for every institution that is leaving out black people and black children, and that goes along with Park and Rec and the San Francisco School District and the criminal justice system and housing and whoever else is just feeling like they don't have to see us, you know. And so this is a time, it's no better time than now than to join the MAGA movement.
And the issue of, one issue that's come up is the issue of Amazon, because Amazon does not allow the workers to unionize. They want to have a union. They want to have collective bargaining rights, the health and safety on the job. And they're trying to organize right now in San Francisco, the Amazon employees, and Amazon is fighting them. So do you think a company should be allowed to get city contracts or to get funds from the city and county of San Francisco to organize, to build a big project when the workers don't have the right to have a union?
Not at all, because basically the workers don't have no protection and they could just get treated any type of way. And San Francisco being liberal and San Francisco having all the other unions that they have in place for like contract and Park and Rec unions, and you know the city have union work, you know, a union department. Why would Amazon not be able to have one? That means Amazon will be able to treat people any kind of way, and that's not what people want. So being with that being said, I hope half the Amazon workers be at the protest. I mean, at the hearing to go against SF Gateway coming into the Bayview.
And what's Mayor Lurie's position on SF Gateway? Do you know what it is?
I haven't asked him, but you know, I think it would be good to ask him because he's going to meet with the Fillmore community on the 24th at 6 o'clock on McAllister. I forgot where we're supposed to be at, but I think that would be a good place to ask him because we didn't get that wasn't never mentioned at the town hall because he was just at a town hall in the Bayview a couple of months ago, and that wasn't ever mentioned to him. And so the supervisor, though, the young man that's the Supervisor Walton's supporting it. Mm-hmm. Walton's in support of it. And
so does Walton know that Amazon has been fighting the union so to prevent them from having a union?
Let's first ask if Walton even care. Let's start there. Let's say the question should be, do Walton even care that he's a politician? So what would he really care about at a place that he don't live in? Like, you know, he's a politician. He's going to be gone eventually. So he don't have a care.
And the situation of San Francisco, you have people homeless, you have people that need health care that aren't getting the kind of health care they need, yet you have over 70 billionaires in San Francisco, Mayor Lurie being one of those billionaires. What do you think about the fact that this is one of the wealthiest cities in the world, but people here are suffering? People here are not getting what they need.
Shows that San Francisco is racist. Because if it has as much money as it has, you would think San Francisco will want everybody to thrive so that it could be a beautiful place for everybody. And it wouldn't, you know, why would you want to be a billionaire, like quote unquote Lurie claimed that he ran for mayor because he was riding his kids around the city and he was tired of I thought that was so funny. And he was tired of his kids seeing the city looking the way it was looking. And I was telling myself, he is such a liar because you know your your car windows is tinted and your kids don't be looking out no windows. You get what I'm saying? So first of all, quit lying.
Well, isn't it the case, though, that these same billionaires, Lurie included, supported redevelopment, supported gentrification, supported driving working people, poor people out of San Francisco? And then they complain about the results of it, that working people can't afford to live in San Francisco, poor people can't afford to live here.
Right. And it shouldn't be that way because I studied the robots. So I'm familiar with the robots that's coming. They're actually here, right? So when you think about what San Francisco is doing, and you think about the billionaires here that don't have to work ever if they don't want to, but then who's going to be here to do anything for them, you know? If they don't treat the people fair, and if the people can't afford to live here, because even though in the book I read the robots are coming, the thing of it is billionaires like entertainment, they like yoga, they like meditation, they like all these things that's going to take people, and so they're going to be spending more money contracting and bringing people in, and because eventually people that does all those things are going to be like, you know what, you're going to have to pay me for travel, and so then it's going to be like, wow, where we're spending out more money bringing people in to bring us these services. So billionaires is going to basically nail themselves to the cross, because robots is not going to be able to do everything that a human can do. What's going to happen when a robot glimps and can't function for you? So I just feel like San Francisco is amazing, but it's really a dark place. Like, I have been studying before the pandemic. I have been studying San Francisco. I didn't even know there was a historical department in the San Francisco Library. I never knew that. How is I'm a native of the city and I don't know that I have a historical library in my city where I can go learn the history of my city, where I can touch certain documents because I have to put on gloves, where I can't check out certain books because I need to have an ID. You know what I'm saying? Because the information there is so critical to this city, to where you got to be careful what you put your hands on. It wasn't until I started researching San Francisco, I learned about, I studied Jim Jones. I do a lot of studying around Jim Jones. I just read The Season of the Witch. I just read The Zebra Murderer. I just read the Code of Trump, this other book by Stephen Hansen. So when you read all this stuff, and then I also just read Thanks for My Memories by Bryce Tyler, when she talk about the government and the pedophiles and all the things that go on, and half of that stuff, I'm mentioning books to where half of the stuff that go on in government went on right here in San Francisco. So you know what I'm saying? So if you don't know this place, it's gonna suck you up, and that's what then happened to black people, and that's why they want to ban books, because they don't want me to know. Because I sit and read books all day, and people ask me, why do I read so much? Because I can remember being a child, they didn't want to teach me how to read. So it's like, damn, why they don't want to teach me how to read? Because it must be something about reading. So why they don't want to teach me how to read? So because San Francisco didn't teach me and want me to read, they have made me more dangerous to the knowledge that I know, because now it's a war. See, you can't fight a war when you don't have nothing, no ammunition. How I'm gonna shoot back? If I don't have no ammunition, how I'm gonna throw a rock if I don't have no stones?
So they thought they were going to use you on this advisory commission. Prologic thought.
Prologic pretty much, yeah.
They thought that you were going to do their bidding.
And I'm upset with them, and I really hope the project doesn't come. I really don't want the project to come. I don't want the project to come because I feel like they didn't do enough outreach. I feel like I don't want the project to come because they didn't come in correctly. They came in with a couple of gift certificates. How much was the, I think they paid us probably like, it just depends on the lift of the, so it was basically like $50 an hour. It just depends on the lift of the meeting. But then some of the stuff be really crucial because this is where they pissed me off at, because everybody that met with them was African American. Now, Hunters Point and Bayview is not all predominantly African Americans. So how do you bring black folks to the table so that y'all can blame us later when everybody gets pissed off you get what I'm saying? You see the games they play. Why wasn't it nobody from the Latino community at the table? Why wasn't nobody from the Asian community at the table? It was just all black people and probably like one European dude from the point that work in the Bayview. And I feel like now that I see what happens is Prologis has really messed up, because when they gave us time, when they kept giving us time away from them without coming back to us, that gave us more time to think. That gave us more time to read articles like the one I read in the San Francisco Gateway, the San Francisco Gateway from Hell. So now it's like, okay, now we're getting the pieces that we need to really see who they really are, because they failed to let us know that people are going against them. So they've been trying to get up against the planning committee forever. We were supposed to go up onto the planning commission on August the 24th. I'll never forget, because I was going to go with the San Francisco AIDS Foundation on a tour around the city, and I was getting off there in Embarcadero, and I get a text from from Prologis telling me don't come to downtown. So I canceled I had to cancel my paratransit because I was going to catch paratransit to get to City Hall. So I had to cancel everything. But they never told us what was going on until I stumbled into the protest. And then I started taking pictures of the protest, and then I sent it to them like, what's going on? What's happening? What's going on? Like, I don't know what's going on. And then they didn't know they didn't know how to answer me. So I guess they needed to think of something to say to me. And then they sent an email blast out to the whole committee on the reason why we didn't meet on August the 24th. But they are not being truthful. And I feel like if you're not being truthful now, you're not going to be truthful later. And then there's 17 million that they're going to give to community benefits, right? Well, guess who's holding that 17 million? Not people from the Bayview. The San Francisco Office of Economic and Workforce Development is supposed to be holding the money. They wanted to put the money into the Dreamskeeper initiative, but we no longer have the Dreamskeeper initiative, right? So now the Office of Workforce Development, and then it's like 17 million, but it's like 10 million. It's so funny how they do things, because 10 million of the money is supposed to go to develop up the project that they bring it in. So how the hell is that community benefit? The sidewalk ain't doing nothing for me. You get what I'm saying? So it's just, I'm just tired of people playing with our life. Like, we deserve to be treated with respect, and then you don't bring in you don't bring in one culture and you leaving all the other cultures out. At its point, it's not. And Bayview is predominantly, it's diverse. So I kind of tripped off that.
So it sounds like a racist move.
Yeah, because
by Prologis, that they only go to the black community, right, in Hunters Point to get them to support the project.
And then that's gonna have the other races blaming us later that we were the sellouts and we wasn't the cool people that allowed something like this to happen. So that's where I'm at with Prologis. They keep playing us all against each other, and so therefore they don't need to come into a community that's already wounded, that's already just broken. You know, San Francisco, all over San Francisco is pretty broken. You know, in certain areas there's a lot going on. You know, a lot that's hurting people in different ways, whether it's the Great Highway that's coming and nobody don't want that. You know,
the community did not want that, and they push it through.
I mean, you know, so all over San Francisco, we're feeling some type of way about what San Francisco is doing. You know, they're pushing out all of us. They're pushing out the elders. They're pushing out everybody. You know, they harming women and children. You know, to take away things, to bring stuff to benefit a group of another group of people when we've been living here all our lives, and we have to get uprooted and our lives get changed because other people want it. That's not fair. That's not how it should go. I don't even think the supervisor should have got taken out of his seat just because he's not agreeing with what you see. That's the bullying. That's bullying to me. They bullied him because he didn't agree and he don't want the Great Highway because he's trying to represent the people there that say, no, we don't want this because it's going to, same thing with Prologis, it's going to mess up traffic. Then people been going up and down that Great Highway forever. Now y'all just taking something away from them, you know, and down in the Sunset, you know, they about to start building all these sunrises, taking these people's sun that they've been having all their life. It's why people live in the Sunset. It's because they wanted they didn't buy homes there for now the city to be, 50 years later saying now we building high rises and you can't do nothing about it and we don't care if you own a home there. You know, this city is not only affecting Black African Americans, they are impacting all of us. You know, it's all of us. Because when I think about what they about to do to the Great Highway, I was like, I mean, you know, in 19th, they about to start building all kind of stuff up and down that in that area. And I'll be like, you know, this is, that's not.
Well, Scott Wiener, who is a senator in San Francisco, has said that San Francisco has to have more housing. That, you know, and he passed a bill in the state of California saying that you have to, otherwise you're going to be punished. Otherwise, the state will take over the development of San Francisco. What do you think about these politicians who are telling people in San Francisco, we're going to take away your zoning protection so that you're going to have giant buildings next to you, or we're going to bulldoze rent-controlled apartments of people who need that housing?
Again, it's California is turning against the people and going for profit. You know, because when you start doing those type of things, you're just getting rid of the people and the families that was here. You know, I remember, I'm a little devastated because I remember San Francisco saying that they wasn't ever going to put people on top of each other, because I don't remember if you remember when we had the Geneva Towers, a lot of people was getting thrown over the towers when they were fighting and violence, and you know, a lot of people died from getting thrown over. And so I kind of remember them saying they weren't going to do stuff like that no more. But when you look at what San Francisco is about to do, it's for newcomers. Everything they're doing is for newcomers. People is wanting to come out of the areas that they're living in, that have the money, that can afford to live here, and that's why they're bringing the family zones, and they're not bringing the family zones for people like us, because the units that they're going to build, they're going to be expensive units, you know, and probably like one or two would be like for affordable income or low income, but now they're talking about bringing developments and having child care at the bottom of them. You know, all that is going to be for the people that they're bringing here, you know.
This is gentrification, more gentrification.
More gentrification, another way, yeah. Because according to Willie Brown, for whatever reason, I heard him say several times that they want San Francisco to be like New York, and I don't know why we want to be like New York. We want to be better than New York. We don't want to be like New York. You know, we different. We different people. You know, and I have heard him, he said that at Ed Lee funeral, New York don't have nothing on us, you know, and all this stuff, you know, and I'm just like, you know, what the hell is going on? We're California. We're not New York, and we're not trying to compete with the East Coast, you know, like we don't want to be competing with each other. People just want to survive, you know, and I think politicians, when I think about all this stuff that's going on right now, I just think people need to study politics a little bit more, understand the purpose of politics, and know that government and religion is not supposed to be intertwined like it is. And that's where we're losing people faith and hope, because the government is now intertwining with religion, which I believe San Francisco plays a big role in that too. When you think about San Francisco, it plays a big role in government because when Jim Jones came, he came in as a religion, and then the government started being all cool with Jim Jones, so that
Because he was helping the politicians.
Yes,
He was supporting
exactly.
the politicians.
They supported the politicians, so then that made other African American churches feel like, okay, this is what we have to do in order to be cool, or in order to function in this city. We have to be kumbaya with the government, and that should have never happened like that. Because if people really knew the government is really, they can say they Christians, but when you're a Christian person, you don't beat up you don't beat up on hurt people, so it's to me, it's just a big pool of manipulation, and then we suffer because we getting hated on by the mass manipulators.